The Southeast Asian region sits along the Pacific Ring of Fire and the Pacific Typhoon Belt. These geographic traits expose the region to numerous natural hazards, such as the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, Cyclone Nargis in 2008, Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, and the Central Sulawesi earthquake and tsunami in 2018. ASEAN acknowledges the region's vulnerabilities and is committed to protect the communities across the most disaster-prone areas. The risks faced by the communities also mean opportunities to foster a collective resilience to reduce disaster risks. Based on the commitment manifested through ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, the AHA Center was established on November 2011 and strengthened through the signing of the ASEAN Declaration on One ASEAN, One Response, ASEAN responding to disasters as one in the region and outside the region. The declaration reiterates the role of the AHA Center as the primary ASEAN regional coordinating agency on disaster management and emergency response. Based on these high-level commitments, the core service of the AHA Center is on enhancing cooperation among ASEAN member states and strengthening coordination for ASEAN's collective response.
Under the ADMER, the AHA Center is mandated to report to each NDMOs of the ASEAN member states as governing board.
The 5 core functions of the AHA Center are coordination, data intelligence and analysis, resource management, knowledge and outreach, financing. Coordination is the AHA Center's primary mandate. As a primary regional coordinating agency, the AHA Center works with a diverse range of sectors and stakeholders in all phases of disaster management. During emergency response phase, the AHA Center is coordinating at 3 levels. Strategic level at the AHA Center's Emergency Operations Center, or EOC. Operational level in the capital city of the affected country, and tactical level on the ground. In coordinating partnerships during emergency responses, we are guided by standard operating procedure for regional standby arrangements and coordination of joint disaster relief and emergency response operations, and supported by the ASEAN ARAT, Emergency Response and Assessment Team. We regularly rehearse scenarios outlined in the AJDRP, or ASEAN Joint Disaster Response Plan. Once every 2 years, we partner with the appointed host country to organize ARDEX, or ASEAN Regional Disaster Emergency Response Simulation Exercise, involving responders from all 10 ASEAN member states and our humanitarian partners. We are also on standby 24/7 to monitor and analyze impact of natural hazards with the support of our Disaster Monitoring and Response System, or DMRS, the ASEAN Disaster Information Network, ADINET, satellite imageries, and other data intelligence and monitoring system. On a weekly basis, we release ASEAN Weekly Disaster Updates. At the notification of a disaster, a flash alert will be released and then followed by a flash update. When the disaster situation intensifies, a situation update will be issued. To support the readiness of NDMOs, or National Disaster Management Organizations, in responding to disasters, we are responsible in managing various assets and capacities for immediate deployment, such as the ASEAN ARAT and the Disaster Emergency Logistics System of ASEAN, or DELSA, with the support of dialogue partners in addition to other international organizations. We have successfully managed the regional stockpile in Subang, Malaysia, as well as mobilizing relief items since 2012. 2 satellite warehouses in Manila, the Philippines, and China, Thailand, are also ready to operate to increase the speed, the scale, and the solidarity of ASEAN's response. We are expected to extend our support rapidly at the request or approval of disaster-affected ASEAN countries. When necessary, we can also be requested to facilitate mobilization of assets and capacities from ASEAN member states or other partners. In constructing a shared understanding of the region's vision and cooperation among NDMOs and humanitarian partners, we actively promote knowledge exchange and reach out to wider public to disseminate information on risk awareness and ASEAN's disaster management efforts. In addition to our online communications platforms, the Center also publishes monthly newsletters, The Column, issues annual ASEAN Risk Monitor and Disaster Management Review, or ARMOR, to bridge science and decision-making, and documents lessons learned from past disasters and other references for others who wish to learn more about our region's disaster management efforts. The AHA Center Executive or ACE program is one of the Center's signature programs to build the capacity of future ASEAN leaders on disaster management, promote knowledge exchange, and enhance ASEAN's joint efforts in attending to its own disaster risks. The trust and support of all 10 ASEAN member states in the AHA Center is manifested through the annual and equal contribution as well as additional voluntary contribution. On top of that, the Center also receives financial support from ASEAN Dialogue partners and other donor institutions, as well as in-kind contributions and technical assistance from other partners. The AHA Center aims to diversify its funding sources to sustain the regional humanitarian financing.
The AHA Center has come a long way since our establishment in November 2011. We face many hurdles, challenges, and difficulties, but with the strong support from ASEAN community, in particular the ASEAN member states, as well as our partners, we are able to overcome them and stand where we are now. We have achieved a lot, but we are still at the beginning of our journey. Our mission is to improve the resiliency of the region against disaster under the spirit of One ASEAN, One Response. We look forward to working closely with you to help us achieve this vision. Together, we can.
Visit www.ahacenter.org and follow us on social media to learn more about ASEAN's disaster management initiatives.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from the home of One ASEAN, One Response in Jakarta. We are about to start in about, I think, 12 minutes now. But before we begin, I would like to announce some housekeeping rules, as you can see on the screen. Please try to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. But we also would like to see your faces, the attendants in this room. So please make sure that your camera is turned on. For question and answers, we invite audience to submit your comments or questions on the chat box in the Zoom. You can submit your comments or question at any time throughout the sessions. But please take note that there is no verbal questions. Please also indicate your name or an organization in the question statement. And panelists and hosts will address the comments or questions during the session and may respond through live or written answers. Thank you very much. And I also would like to share with you the agenda for today. We will have 5 sessions. We will start with the remarks from the Executive Director of the ASEAN Center, followed by the pre-recorded remarks from Undersecretary Ricardo Halat from the Office of Civil Defense of the Philippines, who is currently serving as the chair of the governing board of the ASEAN Center. And then we will listen to the pre-recorded remarks from the Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato Lim Jock Hoi. After the remarks, we will have the relaunch of the AHA Center website, which will be followed by discussion sessions with partners and friends of the AHA Centers. We will have 2 discussion sessions, which will be moderated by our Deputy Executive Director. The last session before closing will be the brief presentation on projects under development by the AHA Center. So you can see the agenda on the screen. But before we begin, let us have a little bit of fun. We want to test your knowledge of the A Center. As friends and partners of the A Center, we know that you have some understanding of our organization, but we want to test that knowledge a little bit by having a little trivia quiz. Don't worry, this is not going to be graded. So take your time to answer the question. For the quiz, we will use Mentimeter. Just go to minty.com and input the code 93 35 58 and 9. And I think some of my colleagues will put the code in the chat box. Uh, so let us begin with the first questions. Spin, can you share the screen? Okay, just a little technical difficulty, but please bear with us. We are trying to resolve this. Okay, wonderful. We have I think a number of people already inside the Minty. So let's go to the first question. First question, when was the idea of the center first conceived? And we have five options. After the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, after the cyclone Nargis, when the center was established, Typhoon Haiyan and signed declaration. Thank you very much. I think most of you already know the idea of the AHA Center was first conceived after the Indian Ocean tsunami. So the name AHA Center was already mentioned actually during at the ATMER, the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response. So let's move to the second question. So this is a very specific question on the declaration of one ASEAN, one response. Thank you very much. I think majority got it correct. So the declaration of one ASEAN, one response was inspired by lessons learned taken from the ASEAN response to Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. So learning from that experience, we understand that we need to improve ASEAN response by, so this is actually related to the next question. So let's go to the next question. By improving the three S's. So these are the three S's of the One ASEAN, One Response Declaration. And this is amazing because most of you actually know what the three S's of the One ASEAN, One Response, which are speed, scale, and solidarity. Thank you very much. That was very refreshing to know that many of you already know what AHA Center is and the background. But uh, before we begin with the proper event, I would like to take this opportunity to take a group photo. So please, everyone, make sure that your video is turned on. How many participants do we have? So we have 74 participants. For your information, Zoom only allows to put 45 people in one page. So to take pictures, we need to take it in two. We need to take 2 pages. So we need to do it two times. So I would like to request our IT. Are you ready for the photo? Okay. So this is the first one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Are we okay, Rizdi? Okay. So the next one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Thank you. So that was quite a prelude to the actual event. Now, without further ado, let us properly begin the event. I would like to invite the Executive Director of the ASEAN Center, Ibu Adelina Kamal, to give her welcome remarks to officially open the event. Ibu Adelina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dipo. Greetings from Jakarta, Indonesia. My name is Adelina Kamal, the Executive Director of the AHA Center. Excellency Datuk Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, Under Secretary Ricardo Halat, Executive Director of NDRMC and Administrator of Office of Civil Defense of the Philippines as Chair of our Governing Board, Excellencies, Ambassadors from ASEAN Member States and Dialogue Partners, distinguished founding parents of the AHA Center from the National Disaster Management Organization of the 10 ASEAN countries, partners, and friends of the AHA Center. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for spending your precious time with us to celebrate our partnership together and renew collaboration for future partnership. Last year, we also got together with our partners for our birthday. Some of you were there, and we had the reflection on our journey. I recall that I told you the story of the AHA Center, divided in 3 chapters. Allow me to tell you the story again, but now in 4 chapters. Sowing, building, expanding, and now transforming. Chapter 1, planting the seeds, sowing, the life before the AHA Center, 2004-2011, a period marked by the founding of 2 agreements, the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, or ACMER, in 2004, and the agreement on the establishment of the AHA Center in November 2011. This was the time when our founding parents, the National Disaster Management Organization of the 10 ASEAN countries, came up with an excellent idea of establishing a full-time dedicated operational coordinating center, that is the AHA Center. Chapter 2, building the unthinkable, 2012-2016, marked by the setting up of the AHA Center at the old office, establishing the regional stockpile, DELSA, in Subang, Malaysia, transforming the ASEAN Emergency Response and Assessment Team, or ERAT, and initiating the flagship AHA Center Executive Program, or ACE. This period was also marked by the groundbreaking commitment of the ASEAN leaders through the adoption and signing of the ASEAN Declaration on One ASEAN, One Response in 2016. Chapter 3, expanding the unthinkable, 2017 up to 2020, marked with the AHA Center moving into the new office, then venturing into uncharted territory, providing humanitarian assistance in areas affected by conflicts. During this period, our resilience was also tested as we responded back-to-back emergencies. It was also the first time when we exercised One ASEAN, One Response. By now, with your support, the AHA Center has responded to 35 disasters, generated 322 members of ASEAN ERAT, and 97 ACE graduates, established two DELSA satellite warehouses in the Philippines and Thailand, in addition to the regional stockpile in Subang, Malaysia, and got other sectors, such as the military and health sectors, integrated within the One ASEAN, One Response. We have also tripled the staff strength from 13 in the early years to over 40. Starting in 2019, we have also enhanced our financial sustainability with 200% increase in the annual equal contribution of ASEAN member states compared to what we received in 2012. We have also completed all external financial audits with clean results from 2012 to 2019. To realize ASEAN vision for global leadership, we continue sharing knowledge, such as through Armor, with the second edition launch yesterday. We have also recently embarked on the Standards and Certification Project and launched our 10-year digital transformation roadmap. Chapter 4, Transforming Through Uncertainty. Starting this year, with the guidance of the governing board of the AHA Center, the AHA Center has been trying to redefine our strategic direction for the next 5 years, while going through uncertainties, not only due to COVID-19, but also climate emergencies. The bigger and stronger we get, people will also expect more from us. With opportunities given by technology, and in this world of uncertainty, the AHA Center has to remain agile. As we get more mature, nearly a decade, we cannot regard ourselves as a baby who crawls anymore. This young kid on the block has to run and transform at the same time. For us to transform in this era of uncertainty, we need allies, we need partners. We also need to connect with other transformers who share the same dreams with us. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for this 9th anniversary, the AHA Center would also like to take a moment to recall the hardship of our brothers and sisters in the Philippines and other ASEAN countries who have been affected by strong typhoons recently. While we have been commemorating our anniversary this week through knowledge sharing events, our team has also been supporting the Philippines and working with partners to mobilize assistance to typhoon affected communities. I hope that we can also use the opportunity today to see how we can extend further support to provide possible recovery and rehabilitation support to typhoon-affected communities. With that, I would like to conclude my remarks. Thank you so much again for all your support, and thank you for being here with us for our birthday.
Thank you very much for the passionate speech. Now we will hear the message, pre-recorded message from the current chair of the governing board of the Center, Undersecretary Ricardo B. Halat from the Office of Civil Defense to Philippines, and then followed by pre-recorded remarks from the Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato' Injo. Let's take a listen.
Excellencies, members of the governing board of the AHA Center, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and thank you all for being here in today's forum. This event marks another opportunity to celebrate the AHA Center's achievements for the past 9 years and the unique role it plays in the service of ASEAN. The AHA Center has been a trailblazer in the aspect of collaboration and coordination among the member states. This is in line with the objectives of the ADMIR to being at the forefront in the alleviation of human suffering in the aftermath of both natural and man-made disasters in ASEAN. As such, it is an honor for me to open this event a platform for productive dialogue among DRRM practitioners, policymakers, and think tanks in the region. In line with the theme, Transforming Through Uncertainty, let us look back at the development of the AHA Center for the last 9 years with an eye towards the future amidst the ever-changing humanitarian landscape in ASEAN. Indeed, the ASEAN region is one of the most disaster-prone regions in the world, and extreme, unpredictable climate events are projected to increase due to climate change. Just recently, the Philippines was battered by Super Typhoon Goni, the strongest storm in the world this year. The ASEAN has an increasing trend when it comes to disasters reported, especially during the past few years, and the AHA Center has been at the forefront in responding to such. We are constantly facing the challenge of the displacement of people due to the effects of natural hazards like tsunamis and typhoons, dam site fires and dam collapse, floods, and slow onset droughts. Despite these challenges, the AHA Center continues to provide effective disaster response and humanitarian assistance in the region. In 2018, the ASEAN leaders instructed the AHA Center to respond to the humanitarian emergencies in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. This broadened our scope of work in humanitarian response. The ASEAN ERA team was deployed to respond to and identify the areas for collaboration to support the government of Myanmar in facilitating the repatriation process. This particular event has shown our commitment in responding to the ever-changing risk landscape of ASEAN. These are just some of the examples of the AHA Center's body of work manifesting its readiness to be at the forefront as the primary regional coordinating agency on disaster management. Truly, governments cannot work alone in disaster management. Today's event will further the ASEAN way towards stronger coordination mechanisms involving the key stakeholders, policymakers, industry players, civil society organizations, academia, and all our partners. As this year's chair of the governing board, I am looking forward to this sharing of perspectives in raising awareness of our overall response in disasters. I look forward to the presentations from our partners, hoping that it may lead to the enhanced resiliency of ASEAN. Also, I would like to congratulate the AHA Center for all of their achievements and efforts and for making this activity possible. I commend Executive Director Adelina Kamal, her team, and all relevant stakeholders and partners for their continued cooperation. It is my hope that there will be a sustained and flourishing engagement in the years to come. I wish you all a productive and meaningful discussion today. Thank you and mabuhay.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my honor to deliver the opening remarks for the Partnership Forum as part of the AHA Center 9th anniversary. I would first like to congratulate the AHA Center for a successful run for almost a decade since the establishment in 2011. The Center has contributed greatly to the region in coordinating humanitarian relief to disaster-affected ASEAN member states and have nurtured relationships with a variety of partners who share similar humanitarian ideals. The ASEAN Secretariat enjoys a special relationship with the AHA Center. We have consistently shared our resources and knowledge in helping the Center carry out their activities. Both organizations work closely together in ensuring that the implementation of policies and strategies take into account operational considerations. As the ASEAN Humanitarian Assistance Coordinator, I'm grateful that our close collaboration puts the life and safety of our people at the center of our work. Saving lives and reducing disaster losses require a whole of ASEAN efforts. Success elevates the visibility of ASEAN and expounds on the merits of mutual growth and expansion. As one of the most disaster-stricken regions in the world, the evolving risk landscape of Southeast Asia is being exacerbated by climate change as well as by other transnational challenges such as COVID-19. The theme for this year's Partnership Forum, Transformation Through Uncertainty, therefore cannot be timelier and more appropriate. Responding to these uncertainties, the people of ASEAN have demonstrated resilience and fortitude. It is imperative for ASEAN to continue learning and adapting to the new normal brought by the changing circumstances. To this end, ASEAN's commitment to managing disaster risk and reducing disaster losses have not faltered. The AHA Center must continue to work in contributing towards the realization of regional commitments related to disasters management. At the same time, the Center should also look at to transform itself to maintain its relevance. Let me share 4 key elements which would be necessary for the AHA Center transformation. First is to invest in information communication technology to facilitate AHA Center's mandate as a coordinator. COVID-19 has offered ASEAN the opportunity to adapt new ways of working through virtual means. I encourage the AHA Center to look towards developing groundbreaking ICT projects that would draw international attention to ASEAN as a global leader in disasters management while still fulfilling its core mandate. The AHA Center should use technology to its advantage and explore ways they can leverage this in exporting ASEAN's expertise beyond the region. Second is to enhance cooperation with relevant sectors in supporting vulnerable populations in disaster. We are increasingly aware of the disproportionate impact disasters have on vulnerable populations like women, children, people with disabilities, and the rural poor. COVID-19 has further exacerbated this impact. It is important for ASEAN to ensure that no one gets left behind, especially in our disaster management strategy. ASEAN's initiative, including the work of the AHA Center, needs to be more proactive in addressing the needs of vulnerable groups during disasters. Third, it is to continue moving towards a localization approach and strengthen the national disaster management offices of the ASEAN member states to respond swiftly and effectively to disaster. In this respect, the whole of the sector holders on the ground is crucial. The event of COVID-19 has brought about a half to the international assistance in deployment of responders. Thus, the need to strengthen local actors is more urgent than ever. Amidst this time of uncertainty, I'm encouraged the AHA Center to consider leveraging its position as the knowledge hub for disasters management in ASEAN to support capacity building of the NDMO's local CSO and grassroots organization, especially in local resiliency programs. Last is to ensure that other ASEAN sectors and pillars are involved and consulted when developing a comprehensive disasters management strategy. A whole of the ASEAN approach is critical in promoting a cohesive and a coherent responsive to mitigate the impacts of the ever-evolving landscape of disasters in the region. In this regard, ASEAN Secretariat continues to advocate for cross-pillar and cross-sectoral approaches. As we discuss the AHA Center's future trajectory, we must be reminded that its activity should ultimately remain aligned with ASEAN's broader policies, vision in disasters management. As one, ASEAN immediate priority is to address the impact of COVID-19. The ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework, ACRF, adopted during the recent 37th ASEAN Summit, galvanizes all relevant ASEAN sectoral bodies in working together to pursue recovery. I encourage the AHA Center to utilize ASEAN networks through the ASEAN Secretariat in bringing technical expertise across the ASEAN pillars to realize the spirit of the ASEAN Declaration of ASEAN One Response. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the AHA Center works in alleviating the hardship of those affected by calamities, as well as in alleviating the emergency preparedness of ASEAN member states. Very much resonant with the theme of Brunei Darussalam ASEAN Chairmanship in 2021, we care, we prepare, and we prosper. It is crucial that AHA Center is ready and well equipped to respond to major disaster in the region, especially in the face of increasing uncertainty. In doing so, the AHA Center will need to continue the continued support and cooperation of its partners, especially those from the international community. I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to them for regularly providing their expertise and assistance. I hope with the guidance of the governing boards of the AHA Center, our partners will continue in strengthen and support the AHA Center throughout its transformation. I wish the AHA Center a joyful occasion and many more successful years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Usek Halat and Secretary General of ASEAN for the remarks. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we also would like to use this opportunity to introduce to you the new website of the AHA Center. If anyone asks, you don't have to worry, we do not change the address of the website. You can still access our website at www.ahacenter.org. However, when you go there, you will see a new, better looking version of the old website. We have prepared a video for you. Please enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to relaunch our AHA Center website, ahacenter.org.
Thank you. We hope that the new revamped website will facilitate smoother and faster flow of information from the center to the public as well as to the partners. With that, let us begin the first discussion session. I would like to invite our Deputy Executive Director, Arnel Kapili, to take the stage to moderate the discussion. Pak Bos, over to you.
Thank you very much, Deepo, and pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I hope everyone is fine in their respective places wherever you are, and we are very happy for you to be able to be part of this celebration, our 9th year anniversary. I just remembered this quote from which says that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. We have been able to achieve almost a decade in our life because you have been part of our journey. We have been walking with you and you have been walking with us throughout this process. And that's why we have been able to reach this 10 years. And we hope that this partnership will be able to last a longer period of time and that we will be able to accomplish more in the future. This afternoon, we will talk about partnership. We will celebrate the partnership, and this is our way of saying thank you to all, saying thank you to everyone who have been part of our journey for the last 9 years. This afternoon, we will have 2 sessions. Session 1 is about celebrating partnerships, a dialogue with our partners. And these are the existing and ongoing partners who have been with us for the last 9 years. Session 2 will talk about a renewed collaboration, partners who have been able to be with us and wants to expand the partnership even further, and those new partners who want to be part of this journey as well. Let's begin. Let's begin with, I'm sorry if I'm going to stand up so to be more energized in terms of our discussion. So let's begin with session 1. We have a distinguished panel of speakers this afternoon. And if I may, I'd like to introduce them to all of you. Our panelists this afternoon composed of very distinguished gentlemen. And I will start and begin with introducing the Ambassador of Australia to ASEAN, His Excellency Will Nankervis. We also have Mr. Hans Farnhammer, the Head of Cooperation of the European Union Delegation to Indonesia and Brunei Darussalam, Mission to ASEAN. We have Mr. Yoshi Kodama, Minister Deputy Head of the Mission of Japan to ASEAN. We have Mr. Lee Soo-hong, First Secretary of the Mission of the Republic of Korea to ASEAN. His Excellency Ambassador Kurt Kunz, Ambassador of Switzerland to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN. And most importantly, and last but not the least, we also have Mr. Gordon Wilcock, the Deputy Director of Emergency Response and of Direct Relief. Gentlemen, very good afternoon. If I may request you to switch on your cameras, please. Let us begin. Can I ask the first question to, as in the tradition of ASEAN, we do it alphabetical among the countries, and then we will go to the last speaker, Gordon, to be able to respond to the question. Let's begin with Ambassador Nankervis from Australia. Ambassador, Australia has been one of the first partners of AHA Center, and Australia has been supporting AHA Center when it was just an acronym in 2011, and you have been with us throughout these years. And I understand that we just recently signed another agreement. Ambassador, could you tell us why AHA Center and what does Australia want to accomplish with the support to AHA Center, and what does the future look like between AHA Center and the government of Australia? Ambassador, you have the floor.
Sure, thank you very much. Thanks for that introduction. I'm just checking that you can hear me okay.
We can hear you.
Thank you. So as you've said, Australia has a really long history of working in partnership with ASEAN and with the AHA Center. You said we were there when you were just an acronym, in fact. So of course we were ASEAN's first dialogue partner way back in 1974. And we're also really very pleased to be one of the first dialogue partners to support the AHA Centre when it was established back in 2011. So our support has taken a number of forms. It's included finance, logistics, and the provision of Australian experts. So we contributed 3 million Australian dollars when the centre was first established. And we've deployed a number of experts to the region through some of our Australian programs, the Australian Civilian Corps and the Australia Assist program. And I understand that our deployees last year made a really impressive contribution. Of course, this year, our deployees have also been able to take up deployments, but remote deployments, virtual deployments. So our original funding support phased down as the AHA Centre budget got onto a more sustainable footing with contributions from ASEAN member states. But today, as you mentioned, I'm really pleased to announce a new phase of our relationship with the AHA Centre. So there's a new $1.5 million Australian dollar partnership, which is focused on strengthening the AHA Centre's capability for its potential new role in human-induced crises in our region. So it's another example of Australia's really serious commitment to ASEAN, which comes on the back of a big package of support that was announced for Southeast Asian countries that was announced last weekend by our Prime Minister at the ASEAN Australia Summit. So what is this support all about? So I understand that the AHA Centre has traditionally focused on a high number of natural disasters within ASEAN. But since 2017, the AHA Centre has been requested by ASEAN member states to also provide assistance to human-induced disasters. So I'm really excited that Australia can help, Australian support can help the AHA Centre to respond to this new request. And this assistance is really focused on strengthening the centre's systems and resources for responding to these human-induced crises. And I really have to thank the Executive Director, Adelina Kamal, and also, of course, Anil Kapili, the Deputy Executive Director of the AHA Centre, for vision and leadership in bringing this partnership together. Just quickly, in terms of what we hope to achieve, I would say that Australia knows really well from our own bushfire season earlier this year, which was quite devastating, that the region we share is one of the most disaster prone. And during our time of need, we were really grateful for the assistance offered by ASEAN member states. So we had formal official offers of assistance from Indonesia and Singapore, but many other businesses in ASEAN member states and civil society organizations offered to help. So it's clear to me that our support for each other is really, it works both ways. And I liked what you said at the start, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That really resonates. So our support for the AHA Centre reflects our shared interest in a stable, prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Humanitarian crises, of course, undermine growth. They reverse hard-won development gains. They increase poverty and can result in instability, which can last for decades. We share this region with ASEAN, and our ability to recover from disasters and support each other at times of crises benefits us all. Now, just in terms of how we see future engagement, all I'll say about that is that under our plan of action with ASEAN, Australia is really committed to supporting implementation of the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, and the AHA Centre's ongoing activities under that agreement. And we will, of course, be keen to support, to look at other areas of support and cooperation. So you can count on Australia's ongoing support for the AHA Centre. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And we look forward to this new partnership, this new engagement of strengthening the internal capacity of the AHA Centre to be able to support humanitarian assistance in human-induced setting and conflict setting. So thank you very much, Ambassador, for this support. Now, can I move on to our next panelists? Another very strong regional organization. with the recently forged agreement between ASEAN and EU, um, Mr. Farnhammer from the head of cooperation of the EU delegation to Indonesia and the mission to ASEAN. How do we strengthen the collaboration between AHA Center, EU, ASEAN, between our regional organizations? What is the plan, and what are the areas that we can work together? Mr. Farnhammer, floor is
Thank you
yours.
so much, Anel. So I just wanted to first of all thank also Ibu Adelina for her inspiring speech in the beginning, and congratulate her, also the SG of ASEAN, the Undersecretary from the Philippines, the entire governing board of the AHA Center on your achievement until now. It's only 9 years, and AHA Center is performing so strongly. It's really amazing. In general, the European Union and ASEAN, we are natural partners because we are both composed of member states, and AHA, like the European Union, we have the Director General ECHO dealing with humanitarian assistance, but also disaster preparedness and others. We have a mechanism in place to collaborate with member states. ASEAN, you have the slogan to respond as one. Yes, we do the same in the European Union. So we are natural partners overall, but especially also in this area. And we have just signed 1 year ago. I'm not sure if it's the largest project in that area our center has ever signed, but it's about $12 million a program for 5 years. So the future, I think, is rather clear because we have already signed for another 4 years a program which is about capacity building. Actually, it's not about capacity building because we think that AHA Center is weak. No, we think that AHA Center is very strong. And we have actually decided that this project is mainly managed by AHA Center themselves, because as we heard from the Secretary General, AHA Center is a knowledge hub. So we want to work with AHA Center to build its own capacity in ASEAN member states, and also closely collaborate and learn and exchange experiences with the European Union. That's why we have a second contract in place for 20% of the amount with the Swedish and Estonian civil protection authorities. So they engage themselves, they also contribute a bit. So we bring our member states here to work with the AHA Center on important events and share their know-how, but also we will bring the know-how of Brussels, of the DG ECHO in here. So this is, I think, great to work together. And we have a plan set out for the next 4 years. So we are very optimistic that we can work on new challenges. And that's why I think also we work on capacity building, because the challenges in the area of humanitarian assistance, they are growing. Disasters become bigger. And actually, we have to prepare for disasters that never happened. We did not think about. And working with AHA Center, we are confident we have chosen the right interlocutor. I would also congratulate AHA Center for organizing this partnership forum, because I must say it's really recognized that AHA Center is an attractive partner. That's why we have so many partners here. I think it's the most popular partner for ASEAN Dialogue partners, and the most projects of any ASEAN center in the whole region. So this is a challenge at the same time of coordination. And I mean, this partnership forum, it really contributes that we understand better what are others doing, how can we work together and be complementary. So this is a great way. So thanks. And we want to bring AHA Center. I mean, you have been to some of you have been to Brussels before, visit our emergency room and see our coordination mechanism. I'm sure we'll do this in the future. We are also engaging with ASEAN on a new work program for the ATMER, and AHA Center is an important element in there. And as AHA is growing and ASEAN working together is growing, we see there are current challenges, upcoming challenges, and with a long-term horizon, we can really work together. So the response is already very good. It's ongoing at the moment, and you got already a lot of praise for this. But I think each catastrophe, each disaster has its own problems. And having an open exchange about the standards, the needs of the affected population, and also following the humanitarian principles is very important. I think somebody mentioned already the challenge of the man-made disasters, where normally AHA Center should not intervene, but I think sometimes it has the possibility. There are challenges, so many challenges out there, and we are a partner, like some of our member states, like Germany and others, to work with you. So we're really looking forward to a strong, strong next 4 years when we work together. And congratulations to this birthday. And thank you to all your partners to working together also with us and sharing your experience. So I wish you, happy birthday. And bye. Thank you, Adel.
Thank you, Mr. Farnhammer. Thank you very much for the kind words and the vote of confidence. We are also very confident that in the next 5 years, our relationship will get stronger because of the EU SAHA project and the LASER team as well supporting us. And we look forward to establishing greater collaboration with the EU Response and Coordination Center based in Brussels, as well as and understand more about your civil protection mechanism. And that's in store for the next 5 years. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Farnhammer. Now, can we move on to the next panelist? Our next panelist has been the longest and probably the biggest supporter of the AHA Center. And Mr. Yokoyama, from the deputy head of the mission of Japan to ASEAN. They have supported DELSA, ACE, ERAT, transformation of the ERAT, the Emergency Operations Center, the ICT. Kodama-san, what else is in store for the partnership between the government of Japan and AHA Center?
Thank you very much indeed. First of all, I hope just you can hear me, everybody. Thank you very much for your introduction. Yes, my name is Kodama. On behalf of Ambassador Chiba, Ambassador of Japan to ASEAN, it's my great pleasure. And also just humbly, it's a great opportunity for me to be here. Anyway, first of all, I would like to say congratulations to AHA Center upon the 9th anniversary. 9 number, just almost 1 decade. And also just I understand it was established in 2011. 2011, this is a very special year to my country too. 2000 year is the year of the Great East Japan earthquake. Actually, personally, I was involved with its coordination for receiving the very kind of foreign rescue and emergency materials transport missions, and the coordination is receiving. So actually, just for Japan, first of all, natural disaster and the disaster relief, humanitarian assistance, these are not really other people's business at all in this region. If I hear, anyway, just I heard just in the Philippines, super typhoon is now just raging in the region. Just I would like to express my sympathies and condolences for just those who are suffering from this. But if you hear just a typhoon, if you hear tsunami, actually these are just originated from basically Japanese language. So it's always just our issue. Just if I hear just a typhoon myself, I was brought up in a very small island, the west of Japan. So that gives me, first of all, just a very difficult life. And I just can hear just local people were fighting for its preparation. And also just actually rapid reaction just to just recover from most of the damage. I just remember. So anyway, thank you for mentioning Japan. Just Japan is consistently would like to become a very good friend and a partner for ASEAN, and especially this humanitarian issue, natural disaster and disaster in general. This is something just which consistently my country just attaches importance and priority, along with other pertinent issues like environmental protection and also trade and others. And this disaster reaction and relief, Japan has been consistently just presenting the 3 sort of priorities, 3 categories. This is naturally just in line with how we cope with the disaster matters. One is actually just, and also this is in line with what AHA Center has been tackling. One is monitoring, disaster monitoring, which is crucial. You have to always be on alert to see what's happening. Just there's always a sign and there's always a sort of rapid possibility and need for rapid reaction to just a sign or just the beginning of disasters. So this is a monitoring issue. So Japan has been actually just supporting disaster ICT system, which is one of the key parts of our center operations. And the second one is more sort of preparation and also reactions. So especially, for instance, the reserves, just establishing the reserves in the stockhouses, and that should be rapidly transported just in time for disasters. So this is what I understand. You have DELSA, ASEAN disaster something logistics system. This is also just one thing just Japan has been consistently just supporting. And finally, just this final part, this is also something important. This is a human resources development and capacity building. It's always just one of the keys of Japan's assistance in any field that people are most important, experts, professionals, and very high morale, just capable, just people. These are the keys, especially just disaster relief, disaster operations. We have to have very capable people in each country. So that's why Japan has been supporting and also just have a great sympathy with our center's idea of ERAT. Actually, this is the ASEAN Emergency Response and Assessment Team. And so this is just something that I have to emphasize here, because actually just now just you have a phase 2 just a program. It's the beginning. So Japan will be happy to just support this part by using Japan ASEAN Integration Fund. So I do hope this team, which is considered to be operates for the early part of monitoring, assessment, and also coordination in each local just management office, and very good sort of pool of people which will tackle especially just the initial part of disaster relief operations. And also, of course, it's always just their task. We hope that in a sort of peacetime operations, they continue to just share their information and always doing training. And this is a training part. This is something Japan would like to continue to just support. And also, just very importantly, just already just EU mission has said to us very rationally that we have to think about a slightly broader just a humanitarian just assistance, humanitarian situation. I understand this ERAT team is also used and utilized for Myanmar repatriation just program. I understand just this is a slightly just a broad application of this team operation, but actually just I understand in the world, especially just for instance Europe, North America. Of course, natural disaster that is for us is crucial, very important, serious issues. But at the same time, we don't have to limit too much just this humanitarian assistance matter, humanitarian situations. So just this sort of repatriation. So these are humanitarian matters, and also just it relates to cyclone just damage, cyclone just fears and risks. So why not? Just we use ERAT just capacity and its resources. So this part also that Japan is now supporting by using JIFE, Japan ASEAN Integration Fund, for its further just expanding. So these are two just projects. Japan will be happy to just cooperate and contribute to ASEAN. So I think there are so many things, but I limit myself to this part. So I once again would like to express our appreciation to the very, very capable, very high moral people in our center. Our center is actually pride of just this region. Just it's a model case, pioneering center just in the world. So I do hope just further cooperation and further just achievements that will continue. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Kodama-san. And we are very happy to continue this partnership with you. And we will learn and exchange more with Japan in the areas of monitoring, preparedness and response, and capacity building. And we look forward to greater collaboration with the government of Japan. Thank you very much, Kodama-san. Now let's move on. I was told that I only have 15 minutes left, and which is just the right time for 3 more of our panelists. The Republic of Korea is a very new partner. We have just signed an agreement to have this about standardization and certification. Mr. Lee So-hong, would you be kind enough to tell us about the program and what do we hope to accomplish with this? Korea want to address with this particular program? The floor is yours, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Arone. First of all, I would like to say congratulations on 9th anniversary of our center, and also thank you for hosting this meeting so that we can share each country's partnership with our center. So it's a good opportunity for us. And at the ASEAN Korean Commemorative Summit held in Busan last November, Korean President Moon Jae-in and 10 ASEAN leaders agreed to strengthen cooperation in the field of disaster management. As a follow-up, our center, together with Korea's National Fire Agency, has started the implementation of the ASEAN standardization and certification for experts in disaster management, or ASEAN program, which is worth $3.35 million from this year. Korea Disaster Relief Team, which consists most of experts from Korea's National Fire Agency, is classified as a heavy level, the highest classification, according to INSARAC external classification. National Fire Service Academy and other training centers under Korea's National Fire Agency also provides various training programs. Korea's National Fire Agency will contribute to the ASEAN program through sharing information and technology with our center. The demand for more rapid and effective response, as well as better prepared and well-trained experts, is very high in ASEAN. That's why the ASEAN is included in the ACDM's work program. And AADMER, ADMER, also emphasize building professionalism in disaster management. Under the ASEAN program, the certification system for ASEAN disaster management experts will be set up. Ultimately, the program aims to foster regional disaster management experts responding to different types of natural disasters that occur in the region. Korea government also expects that ASEAN would contribute to ASEAN's endeavor to establish an even more resilient community against natural disasters. The reason why Korea government chose our center as a partner is that our center is renowned for being a prominent driving force for the disaster management in ASEAN. Spearheaded by Executive Director Adamina Kamal and her brilliant leadership, the ASEAN Center is on the way to expand its horizon for future cooperation as an intergovernmental organization. Therefore, Korea is ready to continuously support the ASEAN Center to enhance ASEAN-Korean cooperation and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. So in the next 5 years, we will have a solid group of professionals in disaster management, and that's because of the support of Korea to the standardization and certification of disaster management professionals in the region. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Lee. Now we'll go on to Ambassador Kurt Kunz from Switzerland. Through the Swiss Development Cooperation Ambassador, we have done and accomplished a lot of things together. How can we further strengthen the partnership between AHA Center and the government of Switzerland? Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be with you, to be able now to celebrate the 9th birthday of the AHA Center and to share this forum together with other partners. I would like to commend AHA Center for what it has been doing during the last 9 years, and would like to mention as examples just AHA Center's important contributions to monitor the recent typhoons and to deliver humanitarian assistance to the populations affected together with national disaster management authorities. This cooperation made it possible to evacuate in a timely manner hundreds of thousands of people and to save lives. The child is well on its feet and walking fast, to use the image Adelina Kamal was introducing before. Congratulations. Switzerland's cooperation with the AHA Center is based on Switzerland's sectoral dialogue partnership, where disaster management and humanitarian assistance is one of the priorities. Our work is geared towards supporting the implementation of the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, and towards implementation of the ASEAN Declaration One ASEAN, One Response. The cooperation is also in line with Switzerland's long-standing humanitarian tradition and spirit of international solidarity. The cooperation meets the Swiss foreign policy and also our recently approved international cooperation strategy for the coming 4 years, which addresses, among others, climate change and human development. Now, what we will be able to do together with the AHA Center. Last year, we signed a memorandum of intent with the AHA Center in order to strengthen national capacities, mechanisms and tools in coordinating and receiving international assistance. Also in order to crystallize the AHA Center vision of becoming a regional information and knowledge hub in disaster management, and to work together in the prepositioning of non-food relief items in regional warehouses, to mainstream protection, gender and inclusion concepts into AHA Center operations, to enhance regional disaster preparedness and simulation exercises such as RDEX, and finally, to assist with expertise in responding to nature-induced and other types of disasters. For our work plans during the current year, we have around a bit more than 1.5 million of Swiss francs allocated. Several of the activities have to be postponed to next year. Nevertheless, there are 2 activities running. One is the development of the AHA Center Information Management Network in consultation with the ASEAN Disaster Management Authorities. And the other one is the prepositioning of non-food relief items in Delsa, China warehouse in a triangular cooperation with Thailand's Department for Disaster Prevention and Mitigation. These items are meant to be timely delivered to Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam in case of a major disaster. For the future, we just had the ASEAN Summit, where ASEAN leaders reiterated their commitment to strengthen cooperation, including with relevant partners, to enhance resilience to disasters, and to consider other global crises such as the COVID pandemic that poses additional challenges for ASEAN in mitigating and in responding. In our view, future engagements should be based on a multi-hazards approach, taking into account nature and human-induced disasters. Switzerland's cooperation will be in line with the AADMIR Work Programme 21-25, which includes, as one of the priority programs, the strengthening of disaster preparedness and of the coordinating mechanisms and responses. We work in the region through a regional hub, a humanitarian hub in Bangkok, who is monitoring the disasters and is ready to also deliver assistance in case of a major disaster if any ASEAN member state requests so. You know Pedro Basabe. He is with us during this forum and stands ready also to answer any possible questions. Thank you so much. And I wish you every success also for the future.
Thank you very much, Excellency. And yes, we do work with Pedro very much. And this is our way of also saying thank you to Dr. Pedro for being very supportive and always being around to be support us in any way that he can. Excellency, we took note of your points about the future. It's you priority will be multi-hazard approach, having both natural and human-induced also on preparedness, as well as strengthening coordination mechanisms. So in the future, we will work around these three areas to better enhance our partnership. Thank you very much again, Excellency.
Thank you so much.
Last but not the least, this gentleman is calling us from Australia. I don't know where exactly in Australia, but he's calling us all the way from Australia. But the organization is a non-government organization called Direct Relief based in the United States. And just to let everyone know, as we speak right now, some of their family kits and tents that are stored in the Philippine warehouse are now being unloaded in Catanduanes, a province which was the first one to be hit by Typhoon Koni a few weeks ago. So Direct Relief has been with us and has been supporting us all throughout the years. And this gentleman, Mr. Gordon, has been picking up the phone, sending me an email, and always saying that whatever you need, we are on standby. Gordon, how is the partnership going to unfold in the next 5 years? Over to you.
Thanks, Arnel. Firstly, yeah, congratulations to the AHA Centre on your 9th birthday. It's been great to be part of that journey. On behalf of Direct Relief CEO Thomas Tai and Executive Vice President Bhupi Singh, I'd first like to thank Adelina and Arnel and the rest of the AHA team for all the support that you've provided to Direct Relief over the years and our work in the region. Our partnership with the AHA Centre is very important to us, and it's been really interesting and satisfying to see it grow and turn into and see it manifest in terms of action on the ground. Back in 2016, we were very proud to sign our first MOI with the AHA Centre. And as our CEO, Thomas Tai, stated, we were honoured to be part of the One Asia and One Response initiative. Since then, we pre-positioned hygiene kits working with the AHA team in Delsa, Malaysia, and those were subsequently distributed by the AHA team to areas of need. And then in 2008, when the earthquake struck Lombok and Sulawesi in Indonesia, the AHA team was instrumental in helping us and assisting us get our emergency medicines and medical supplies to partners on the ground. We were then very happy to be in the position to help the AHA team as they had an AHA-led water and sanitation project. They built 120 latrines across 12 locations to support displaced people in Palu. And that then filtered through to the support we've been able to provide to build the Puskesmas Pembantu, which is going to be a health facility that's part of the ASEAN Village, which is a really fantastic initiative, and it's nearing completion. Last year in 2019, Direct Relief and the AHA Centre renewed our MOI, and at the same time there was a ceremony for the opening of the Delsa warehouse in the Philippines. We were also able to provide a $500,000 grant to put those emergency materials that Arnel's speaking of in the warehouse, and yeah, it's really satisfying to see that that's coming to fruition. Those supplies are now being sent to where they're needed. After the flooding in the Philippines. In terms of what we hope to accomplish, I think our collaboration during the Sulawesi response, the ASEAN Village Health Facility, and the support for the Delsa warehouse in Manila, they're great examples of what we want to accomplish and what we are accomplishing with this strong partnership. And this partnership enables Direct Relief to extend our support to more people in need across the region. And at the same time, we can play a small part in bolstering the role of the AHA Centre as the regional disaster response coordinator. In terms of the future, Direct Relief is primarily a partnership-driven organisation. Strong long-term partnerships based on trust and shared commitment to humanitarian principles are a core component of our organisational identity and form the basis of our ability to operate and respond during disasters. In some respects, our partners are the point. They are the ones from the affected areas doing the work among their communities, and we recognise that they know more about what they need than we do. So we try to listen, and then we try to give them exactly what they ask for and deliver it in a fashion that makes their life easier, not harder. In this way, and as a principle, we support a local and national and regionally led response to disasters. So with the signing of our new MOI last year, we signaled our commitment to continue supporting and enabling the regional leadership of the AHA Centre, however we can. More specifically, looking to the future, we want to do more pre-positioning across the DELSA system and hopefully look in the future to working with the AHA Centre on possible medical stockpiles across this system, especially in light of the COVID pandemic. We will continue to provide continue our close collaboration and cooperation with AHA during disasters in the region to respond and to provide emergency medicines and medical supplies and funding when needed. We'll continue to engage our private sector partners with a footprint in the ASEAN region to facilitate opportunities for them to support disaster response and the AHA Centre, and also increasing cooperation with regards to data and technology. We work closely with Facebook to map the movement of people during disasters, and this data is being used by disaster managers in various contexts to influence decision-making around things like the targeted allocation of resources. We also work with other Silicon Valley tech companies like Balcony, and we're creating a situational networks where the targeted information can be gathered, requested, and disseminated based on pinpoint geographic location, which has great potential for things like rapid disaster and needs assessments. These new technologies are enabling faster and more precise decision-making during disasters and may become useful tools for the AHA Centre in the region. So again, thank you for including direct relief, and it's been a great journey. And even though we're doing serious work, I've had a lot of fun working with the AHA team, both online and in the field. So thank you again. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it looks like a very exciting future for between direct relief and AHA Center. Mr. Gordon Wilcock, thank you very much. Excellencies, that's about our time for this session. We was just informed that we don't have time for Q&A. I wish to have more conversation with you, but for lack of time, this virtual setting is very challenging. We have one question though from DHL asking about what is human induced. Adelina or Dipo, you want to respond to DHL about what do we mean by human induced? Quickly.
I'll hand it over to the ED for the response.
Thank you very much. I think the moderator actually should be able to answer that question as well. But yeah, when it comes to the new project that newly initiated with the government of Australia, actually the focus is when we talk about human induced is on conflict setting. That will be the focus, and that is also due to the experience that AHA Center had starting in 2017, providing humanitarian assistance to the IDPs in Marawi, Philippines, and Rakhine State, Myanmar. But of course, it doesn't stop at that because, in fact, in 2018, the AHA Center was requested by the government of Myanmar to deploy ERAT team, the ASEAN Emergency Response Assessment Team, to a fire. It was a dam site fire that created pollution in the city of Yangon. And that's actually very unique because it's man-made, it's not natural disaster. And we were lucky, we were fortunate that we had the expertise within the ERAT that could provide advice on public health issues as well as firefighting. ERAT was not deployed to contain fires, but to provide advice to the government authorities and work closely with the colleagues in Myanmar to contain the fire as the firefighting was actually conducted. So that also could be the possibility. Other possibility, perhaps support for NATEC, natural hazard triggered by, technological accident triggered by natural hazards. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Arnel, you may wish to add. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Adelina. That is the prerogative of the moderator for calling on anybody. Thank you very much. Excellencies, thank you very much for this opportunity, and we hope to see you next year as we celebrate a milestone of AHA Center, 10 years, and we hope to see you again there, all of you. Excellencies, thank you very much, and we hope that you were able to have a good time and good celebration with AHA Center. Thank you very much. Over to you, MC Dipo.
Thank you very much, Arnel, for the interesting discussion. Now, we will return to Pa Arnel later on, but we will give him the opportunity to rest, maybe to sit down and take a sip of water. But before we go back to Pa Arnel, we will have another trivia. So I would like to invite our colleague to share the screen. This time we still go to minty.com with the code 1575665. So please log into the menti.com. We will wait for several seconds before we continue. Are we okay now? Okay. So I think we can begin. Let's go to question number 1. So this is actually very easy. Which country in the region is the lowest in terms of exposure to hazards?
Okay.
Okay. So I imagine that everybody will answer the same. It's expected. Thank you very much for the first questions. But for your information, there are diversity of risks in the region, and each country actually experience different types of hazards. So that's actually contribute also to the challenges on managing disasters as a region. Question number 2. So let's go to question number 2. Question number 2. According to the ADINET, which is our source of the disaster information statistic, which natural hazard is the most prevalent in the ASEAN region? Okay, so most of you actually know the situation in ASEAN as expected. More than 90% of hazards happening in the region is actually hydrometeorological hazards. So a lot of floods, typhoons, and then also landslide caused by typhoon and floods. So floods is the most prevalent hazard in the region. Number 3 is on the birth certificate of the center. Where was the birth certificate of the center signed? Okay. Okay, so the correct answer is Bali, Indonesia. So the agreement on the establishment of the center was signed in November 2011 in Bali, Indonesia. Last question. This is about the ASEAN Joint Disaster Response Plan. Which the countries have scenarios developed under the AJDRP? Okay, so the correct answer is Indonesia, Myanmar, and the Philippines. And the scenarios we develop are actually based on scientific evidence. So we identify the 3 most potential disaster that will happen in catastrophic scale that can happen in the region. So thank you very much for taking part in our little quiz. Again, this is not graded. This is just for us to understand how our partners as well as our friends in the region understand our history as well as the context where AHAS works. Thank you very much. So let's move to the next session, which is still a discussion. And I would like to invite back again our one and only Deputy Executive Director, Pak Arnel Kapili. Arnel, are you ready? Okay, Arnel, the floor is yours.
I'm still having coffee, Dipo. That was very quick. Thank you very much. I'm back again for session 2. Let's go now to session 2. Session 2 is about renewed collaboration and future partnerships. So this round is talking about the expansion of the partnership as well as new partners that would probably be part of the journey of AHA Center. Let me introduce to you the panelists for this round. We have equally distinguished panelists for session 2. We have from the Mission of Canada to ASEAN, the first Secretary in Development Section, Mr. Abdullah Mojadedi. We have the Deputy Head of the Mission of France to ASEAN, Ms. Miriam St. Pierre. We have the Excellency, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Italy to Indonesia and ASEAN, Ambassador Benedetto Lateri. And we have our good friend as well, the Executive Director of the Pacific Disaster Center, who's calling right now from Hawaii, Mr. Ray Sikordai. And last but not the least, the Chief Executive Officer of Red Hour Australia, who have been working with us throughout these years as well. Calling us from Australia, Ms. Kirsten Sayers. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much, Excellencies, for joining us this afternoon. Can I begin so that we can start the discussion and the ball rolling so we have time for more questions if we have questions later on? Again, as usual, we will follow the ASEAN way of doing it alphabetically and with the partners towards the end. In 2019, Mr. Abdullah, I specifically remember last year, you know, the Ambassador Didra Kelly mentioned that she did not see the flag of Canada waving during the 2019, the 8th-year anniversary of AHA Center. Now, exactly 1 year ago, the flag of Canada is about to wave. What is the partnership all about? Mr. Abdullah, the floor is yours.
Hello, Arnel, can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to congratulate our AHA Center colleagues on the 9th anniversary of the center and for the many accomplishments you've had over the last years. It's really impressive. I would like to thank you for organizing this partnership forum because it gives us an opportunity to share information between the partners and with your center and to avoid duplications and better complement each other's work. So, so as you know, our mission, the Canadian mission, is in discussions with the AHA Center for a possible new project. The title would be Improving ASEAN's Capacity in Providing Humanitarian Assistance in Disasters. So we are expecting a full proposal from the center in the next few weeks, and which we would review and relate to our headquarters for and seek approval. So we're told we're given 3 questions by you earlier to respond to. So I'll jump to the first section of question 1, which was about the gaps. So the gap that we're trying to address is the key gap is in the region is the lack of sufficient capacity at the regional level to deliver humanitarian assistance for disasters and lack of sufficient ability to address the critical protection needs of the most vulnerable population, such as women and children. So this lack of sufficient capacity leads to lower resiliency against natural and non-natural disasters. It leads to increasing number of casualties in disasters. And thirdly, it increasing vulnerability of the most marginalized groups, including women and children. So this proposed project, will aim to further expand the capacity of the AHA Center in disaster management and emergency response, in particular in anticipation of future risk scenarios. The project is being developed specifically with the new ADMIR work program 2021 to 25 in mind. The project's ultimate objective is to contribute to greater resilience in the ASEAN region against multiple types of hazards. As one of the most disaster-prone regions in the world, disasters hamper significantly the ability of the region to develop their economies. So this project will have 3 main components. The first is the development of the capacity of AHA Center to be able to respond to potential new risk scenarios in the future. Second, to promote promotion of the whole of ASEAN approach on humanitarian assistance and emergency response. And number 3, to leverage existing knowledge and expertise within ASEAN in order to further develop the capacity of the ASEAN to respond to disasters. So gender and social inclusion elements and expertise within ASEAN So gender and social inclusion elements will also become an integral part of this project, especially in ensuring gender and social inclusion into the AHA Center's operational guidelines. So it is expected that if approved, the project will run for 5 years and it will be directly implemented by AHA Center. So what we expect from the project is we hope that, that this project will potential project, which is because we don't have approvals yet. So the potential project will result in greater regional resiliency against disasters by improving ASEAN's capacity in providing humanitarian assistance in both natural and non-natural disasters. More specifically, we expect the project would result in enhanced capacity of AHA Center for effective humanitarian assistance to take into account new risk scenarios as identified by the ADMAR program. Secondly, to strengthen approach in gender-sensitive and inclusive humanitarian assistance and emergency response by ASEAN. And third, improved practice of knowledge sharing on regional capacities for effective response and providing humanitarian assistance within the ASEAN member states. So we were asked why AHA Center? So that's, I think, an easy question. As the operational engine of ADMAR and the coordinating body for humanity, playing a critical role and would contribute to reducing disaster losses and enhancing regional cooperation to respond jointly to disasters. So the AHA Center is the national partner for us for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It looks like a very comprehensive project that we are about to undertake, and I believe that it's in the final stages of yes. And we hope to have this completed very soon. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker, I've had several conversations with our next speaker. We've also had discussions about the potential areas for collaboration. Ms. Miriam St. Pierre, the Deputy Head of Mission of the Government of France. What do you see in this partnership and what are the areas that we can work on together? Over to you, Ms. St. Pierre.
Thank you, Arnel. And first, let me congratulate AHA Center, Adelina, yourself, and all the team of AHA Center for the 9th anniversary. And I only have to commend the role and the action of AHA Center, which is very impressive and which explains basically why France wishes to further exchanges with you to discuss what we could do together for the region and for the people who are on the ground. Let me answer maybe more directly your questions. And so, as you know, last September, ASEAN granted France the status of development partner, which recognizes the existing cooperation of France in various fields with ASEAN member states, and also French will to further actually its relations and projects with ASEAN. And so we are very honored of this decision, obviously, and this process is now being operationalized. Humanitarian assistance and disaster management and response, which can be natural disasters, but also non-natural disasters, or forest fires that have been mentioned by the Australian colleague, are among basically the fields in which France would like to develop in cooperation in ASEAN further, and obviously with AHA Center, through the cooperation we want to develop with AHA Center. So in that perspective, France aimed to build a long-term and fruitful cooperation with the AHA Center, because actually the action and the role of AHA Center is quite similar to the role that is playing the Crisis and Support Center of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of France, actually. Humanitarian assistance, preparedness, and disaster response are areas in which France has a solid experience. And so in this field, the Crisis and Support Center in France carries out very similar work to what the AHA Center is doing. And so in the recent years, the Crisis and Support Center and the action of France in this field has helped with crisis response in several ASEAN countries, So, for example, in the Philippines, in 2013, we have mobilized French NGOs to coordinate the emergency response there. And more recently, we have sent assistance to Indonesia. So in Palu, for example, in 2018, and also humanitarian projects, assistance and support in Myanmar, for example. And France also, through this Crisis and Support Center, carries out bilateral cooperation actions with ASEAN countries in different sectors where it has developed expertise. So to mention some of the sectors, fire, emergency services, specialized emergency services, chemical risks, search and rescue during earthquakes or other natural disasters. And so in the field of civil protection also, we have developed a cooperation which is held at the regional level. And so we have a colleague that is directly based actually currently in Singapore, who organizes with the dedicated actors in France and in the region various training sessions or training activities and exchanges of knowledge and expertise in different fields that goes from environment protection and management of industrial and natural risks. So for example, to mention one of the latest example of his action in 2019, there was some training sessions that were carried about forest fire management, for example. It was carried out in the Philippines, in Indonesia, and Vietnam. Similarly, emergency first response training sessions were carried out in Malaysia, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So that are things that we are currently doing. And so with the objective of development and in the view of our development partnership, we, and Arnel has mentioned it, we have engaged several discussions with the AHA Center and the colleagues there to basically identify the priority areas in which we could develop our cooperation, and also with the idea to be useful and to fill the gaps, and to respond really to what the AHA Center wishes to do with us. And out of this experience that are actually going on, we already have some few ideas that came out of that, but we are currently still discussing about what could be our partnership, and basically related to preparedness and response. And we are then very happy and very looking forward to further these discussions with Adelina, with Arnel and all the team, and also with the colleagues in Paris, so we can develop this cooperation very soon, and so that France can continue and do more in this region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will continue to work with the mission as well as the colleagues from France to sharpen the proposals. We were looking at 3 areas, particularly the mutual exchange of learnings between between the countries in the ASEAN region and France, as well as greater collaboration and partnership with the France's Crisis and Support Center. And we're very interested to know more about what they do. Ms. Miriam Cynthia, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to our next speaker, Excellency Ambassador Benedetto Lateri. Italy is just about a new partner. What do you think are the gaps that the partnership with Italy will be able to address, and what kind of activities or projects are we looking at? Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me. First of all, before answering your question, I want to thank you for having me in this extraordinary anniversary of AHA Center. And I extend my congratulations to the director, Adelina Kamal, and all his staff. I'm glad to contribute this afternoon to this interesting discussions with many other esteemed colleagues. It's for me the first time I address this forum, this AHA Center. Since last September, Italy has gained the status of development partner of ASEAN together with my French colleagues, she said a moment ago. This was for us an objective, a strategic objective of great importance. As we will see that as a starting point in our path to build wider and stronger links with ASEAN and its member state as a follow-up of previous relations. Italy is very well prepared to step up the level of the cooperation. And we are looking closely to all possibility to further this cooperation in many fields, especially in disaster prevention and management, which is the mission of the AHA Center. Beside bilateral aid currently currently held with many ASEAN member states, we would like to continue cooperating in the field of disaster risk management, following the encouraging result of a first project we have been conducted last year with the Italian Civil Protection Department and the other ASEAN member states. Unfortunately, Italy, as you know, shares with many ASEAN member states risks which are very similar in terms of seismic, volcanic, tsunami, flooding events. And this is the reason in this sector there is a clear scope for sharing good practices and lessons learned. As I mentioned, in 2019, we had the pleasure to host a huge delegation from ASEAN member states to study the Italian civil protection system. And the delegation showed a special interest in working with us in an area where we have developed some specifics. The idea is to carry out the work together with the scientific community in support risk management, disaster risk management. It seems that we can identify this area as a request from the Asian region. During the visit, our Center of Excellence dealing with the hydrometeorological, seismic and volcanic risk presented the tools and methodologies and started also technical dialogue with the expert, inviting expert. And that initial discussion can offer apparently opportunities to strengthen our cooperation. In my opinion, that would be the area for further the Italian contribution to address regional, local needs. The idea is, the Italian idea as a project was been to establish a network of the most relevant scientific and technical centers dealing in disaster management. And the network is operating as a support to the public institution to develop tools and methodologies. In this way, this cooperation allowed to develop a stable, permanent structure and to issue early warning, implement joint preventive measures, coordinate and direct aid at any moment in any time. Despite the limitation by the pandemic, we are planning to continue along this path. we are ready to start a new project, and we have already planned the outline of this project, and we are very glad to discuss with you in order to also take on board your input and suggestions. We will work together with the Italian Civil Protection Department, and we will work also together with one of the Center of Excellence, which is called CIMA, C-I-M-A Foundation, to provide tailor-made training for weather-related risk. This is the project so far, and in this project we would like also to put an element which is satellite. Satellite support is essential in this risk management, especially when it comes from nature-related risk management. Of course, we also are ready to develop a second project which may focus on human-related disasters, which is another area of in great demand. So, looking forward to develop dialogue, discussion, and project. Again, many congratulations for your anniversary and best wishes for the HAHA future. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Excellency. We look forward to working with you and your team. We are excited as well. We have a lot of opportunities to explore capacity building, working with the Italian Civil Protection Department, and we are going to work with your team to sharpen the proposal and the projects. Thank you very much again, Excellency. Now we move to our next speaker, another long-standing partner who is calling us all the way from Hawaii. And thank you very much for staying up late. If you go to the AHA Center and you go to the Emergency Operations Center, you will see there a board which shows the map of the region. And ladies and gentlemen, this is powered by Pacific Disaster Center, which our next speaker, Ray Shikorday, will talk about. And congratulations to us as well, Mr. Ray, for signing a new agreement. What does this new agreement look like, and how can we further strengthen our partnership? Mr. Ray, the floor is yours.
Aloha, can you hear me okay? Very good. Well, thanks, Arnel. Let me first extend a warm aloha to everyone, actually, to all of our distinguished colleagues on the call. And before I begin and answering your question, I would like to say happy birthday to our sister organization, AHA Center, and all of our good friends and colleagues, and I wish I could be down there with you. Arnel, let me actually, one of the questions, first of all, to start with was about gaps in disaster management. And if you allow me, I do want to take a detour a little bit and reframe the question in terms of gaps, because gaps have this negative connotation, like, we should have seen it, and once we see it, we can feel it, and it's going to go away. While in reality, gaps always exist, and there's challenges really in our field, and our goal really should be to continuously nurture that, those partnerships and those abilities to overcome those. So I do want to talk about challenges. Let's talk about what are the biggest challenges that I actually see in the humanitarian field and disaster management in particular, is actually gaining a good understanding of the nature of risks and how dynamic it is and how quickly does it change. And I don't mean this in terms of only sustainable development or building back better, But I really want to emphasize, we're living in a world where everything around us is changing fast. Population, resilience, climate. With climate change, risks change. And, His Excellency, actually, Secretary General, was talking about risk landscape and getting proactive. Well, if the climate and all of that are changing around us, disasters are changing, the stability actually is changing, and our calculus for understanding risk is changing. And we've already seen what happens when we, don't really understand risks into the future well enough with the pandemic, with, climate change. So to me, one of the biggest challenges essentially is really understanding what risks mean, and it's more than the tactical disasters. A friend of ours said, there is no natural disaster, there's only a natural hazard. So all disasters by definitions are man-made. Now, second challenge, I think the technology and sciences are changing really rapidly. So if our field, I think traditionally we've been a little bit behind the curve when it comes to understanding those changes in science and technology, but those are the hopes that we can have to actually combat, all the other challenges, which brings us to, well, what do we want out of the partnerships? Well, for us, what we want out of the partnerships, we acknowledge that these challenges are so vast that no one organization, no one entity can actually combat them. And we're hoping with these partnerships that we find those who, we heard many of them on the call actually, share the same humanitarian goals. So we can actually strengthen one another to address some of those large challenges that are going to be with us for years to come. And in fact, it's not only about the partners and the partnerships, it's about our network. If we put our network together, then we would hope to create the infrastructure that is sustainable to help us as the human race in all over the place to put our forces together to address those things. So, let me now get to your direct question. Why AHA Center? Well, this one is really easy for me, as you know. I can legitimately say that I've known AHA Center for the last 10 years of its 9 years of existence, right? Because I actually was fortunate enough personally to do the information communication gap analysis for interim AHA Center when AHA Center wasn't even born yet, in a sense. So I go back on our relationship with the focal points, including at that time working with our Philippines colleagues from Philippines, Singapore, Cambodia, who had the task force to share ideas about how we could set up, you could essentially set up those centers. So share a lot of experiences. And it is wonderful to see that AHA Center has come so far, strengthened so much, and now is really, we're looking forward in our new agreement that was signed today, actually intentionally does not have an end date. So we are looking for years to come to really share our experiences and learn from you, because again, AHA Center now is really becoming that knowledge hub, is becoming a force to really help us combat these complex problems that are going to be facing us essentially going forward. So let me leave it at that. We are looking into knowledge sharing, information sharing, and technology sharing. We now actually rely on AHA Center monitoring and reporting some of the disasters in the region just as much. So really excited. Again, happy birthday to the AHA Center. Congratulations to all of my colleagues, and looking forward to the future. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ray. Thank you for imparting that wisdom to us. I thought I was the last dinosaur in the AHA Center, but apparently I saw another one. Even before I became dinosaur, there's already one dinosaur there. Thank you very much, Ray, and thank you for telling us to avoid gaps. And from now on, we will refrain from using gaps and make it more of a challenge, as challenge will always be there. Thank you very much. Now for our last speaker, also staying up very late, calling us from Melbourne, Australia, the CEO of REDR, who have been our partner, having a lot of deployments to the AHA Center. Ms. Kirsten, what are the gaps that we are trying to address, the REDR is trying to address, and what are the possible solutions, and what does the future look like? Over to you, Kirsten. Kirsten, you're still on mute.
Here I am. I was going to sign for us tonight, Arnel, and I was just saying that I think you'll make a magnificent Eurovision host next year. On behalf of my team here at Australia and our two colleagues currently on deployment with AHA Centre, Leah Gregory here on the call and Dave Neville as well, it's a pleasure to celebrate your 9th birthday. And we've been partners for 4 years now, so it looks like we're growing older and growing up together. And to Adelina and you and Siva and the team, it is a pleasure for us to celebrate this evening with you. Our partnership has been a good 4 years and a couple of years before that in the making. And as I reflect on some of the highlights, it's certainly been being a foundation member of the ACE, of the training course, ASEAN Leaders course, being involved with the establishment of IRAT, with strengthening risk, safety and security, civil, military, and the first interventions with Jenny Lee and the team in Myanmar, and also on some of the training we've done. And it was our privilege last year to have Adelina join us in Melbourne for REDR's annual general meeting. So tonight, sorry I can't be with you in Jakarta, but all our very best from Melbourne. Now, as we look to the future and look at the opportunities for collaboration, we do have a number of shared ambitions. And one of those is to contribute together to the readiness and leadership through humanitarian values-based technical advice and technical surge capacity before, during and after crises and conflict. And REDR Australia, as the proud steward of the Australia Assist program, has been very committed to the ASEAN region. We're also part of the REDR International Federation and have colleagues in Indonesia and in Malaysia. And that feeds our opportunity to contribute to as local as possible. And I think, Arnel, you probably remember our shared epiphany during the Sulawesi response, when I could say, but we're not a government and we are your partner and we can stand with you, even if the preference is not to have foreign government assistance. So we look to a future where we can stand together, delivering on our shared desire to support before, during and after, but also where we can provide technical support and assistance, whether in developing AHA's own internal capabilities or for training and training of trainers and for that multiplier effect out in the region. On humanitarian and disaster risk management, systems reform, system strengthening, and the protection issues that we've talked about and several people have talked about today. So if I just look at what we've been doing in the last year, over 20%, actually 22% of Australia Assist deployments were to Asia, and around half of these were focused on stability, resilience and risk reduction, and the positioning of emergency preparedness and disaster risk reduction personnel in the Indo-Pacific. So it's been a big year for us in ASEAN and in Asia, and for us also our 52nd deployment to the Rohingya Response. And whilst they're currently on the Bangladeshi side of the border, our contributions to the Rohingya Response have started along with you in Rakhine State. So we've shared a lot. We look forward to sharing more, to finding ways to together catalyse and connect jump over any perceptions of gap and fill them hand in hand because we are all stronger together. Thank you.
Excellent words, Kristen. And on behalf of AHA Center, would like to say thank you for all the deployment. They have provided valuable input to AHA Center, starting from Doug, Jenny Lee, and because, as you said, we are together. Thank you very much, Kristen. Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, I think, okay, we got you back, partner, because we missed you for a while.
Dipo, am I? Oh, no, I made sure I paid my internet connection yesterday, so this is just a temporary glitch. Am I now live again, Dipo?
Yeah, can you repeat that again, Pa? I think you're not frozen. You're just, you look like you're frozen, but you're not.
I'm just pretending that I'm frozen so that
we can see that.
Anyway, thank you for all our. If I may, there's one question, interesting question here from Grace and Dina, asking about, will the current pandemic affect the partnership with AHA Center? Is there going to be any implication? Any thoughts from our panelists?
Arnel, it's Kirsten here. Yeah, look, just to say that we're working with a number of partners throughout the world on COVID response, whether it be public health or whether it be a medical team, as we've just put into Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. So of the, if I look at our deployments between March and July, they actually increased by 160% specifically because of the pandemic, and noting as well that Australia's borders were shut. So we were mobilising our local talent in other countries and able to do that to respond. And nearly all deployments have pivoted to have an element of COVID, of pandemic response. So if there is a need for AHA to respond in relation to COVID, we do stand ready to support you.
Thank you very much for that assurance, Kristen. We take note of that commitment. Thank you. Any other comments from our panelists about this question? Mr. Ray?
I'll take a stab at it. I mean, as it comes to the partnership, I don't see I don't see the nature of what we were discussing really changing. I think the nature of our engagements, like everything else in the world, will be impacted by the pandemic. I mean, if you look at the logistical response of, social distancing when you have to evacuate a large number of people, all of those, I think, will have impacts on our assessments as to, how to do these better. But in terms of the partnerships, at least the partnerships that we have in terms of science and technology, and really trying to understand how to do these things better and share best practices, I don't see the partnership being impacted. But the nature of our engagements, I think, is expedited, like everything else that has been with the pandemic.
Thank you very much, Ray. I guess that's the all. Yes, Ambassador, please.
Yes, very simply, very shortly. Of course, there has been an impact, and the impact has been on the operation of our cooperation. There has been from in other areas, but there has been a lot of projects which has been postponed to next year because of the unavailability of travel of people which were already deployed on the field both initially and in Asian region. So pandemic, of course, has played a great impact on our cooperation, but that has been open also a new avenue for cooperation, a new idea, new challenges, as Ray has put very clearly on these discussions.
Thank you, Excellency. I'll just wrap it here. We don't have enough time, but again, thank you very much, Abdullah, Miss Miriam, Excellency, Ray, and Kristen for staying with us and celebrating this birthday. And we hope to see you next year during our 10th year anniversary. Again, thank you very much to all of you. That's all the time that we have. Thank you again to all our panelists and to all our audience and participants. Thank you for your questions. I can see Carl from DHA. I hope we were able to answer your question, Carl. Thank you very much also for your support to the Philippines response. We heard that DHL, UPS, World Food Program provided logistic support. Thank you very much for that. That's partnership. That's what partnership is all about. Again, thank you very much. And I've had a wonderful time with all of you. This is Arnel Capili signing off for now. And we will now talk about what are the priority programs of AHA Center for the next 5 years. And this may be of interest to you. My colleague Dipo will now talk about that in the next few minutes. Thank you again and goodbye.
Thank you, Parnel. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of our event, but we will not take your time too long. But the opportunity is too good for us to miss because we want to share some of the activities that we have in mind. Please bear in mind that these activities or these projects that we are going to share with you are work in progress. So they're not finished article, but what we have developed here are activities that we think can contribute to the next cycle of the ATMER work program for 2021-2025. So right now, the AHA Center is developing 4 projects. The first one is the DELSA Transform. For most of you who already know DELSA, DELSA stands for Disaster Emergency Logistics System for ASEAN. And this is one of our key mechanisms, the region key mechanism to augment the availability of relief items in disaster-affected countries. So the current DELSA is going to end very soon. And we are going to start the next phase of DELSA perhaps in the mid of 2021. So for the next phase of DELSA, we will put a special emphasis on the utilization of information and communication technology for the mobilization of relief items. So again, please bear in mind that this is still under development, so it's not finished. And for of you who know or are aware of the mechanism in ASEAN, we have to do a lot of consultations with different stakeholders, including with the member states, so that we are sure that whatever projects we are developing will contribute to the needs of the member states. The second project that we are developing is called, this is the temporary name, Go Local. This is basically a localization of our ASEAN ERAT. We have in our roster over 320 ASEAN Emergency Response and Assessment Team members coming from the 10 member states. The next phase of the ASEAN ERAT is actually to transform these capacities into national and subnational level. So we are discussing ways on how to do this, including by conducting an ERAT reference curriculum training program at the national and subnational levels. The third program that we are developing is the Futurescape, and this is the next phase of our ACE program. The ACE program is dedicated to train the future leaders of ASEAN in disaster management. And the current program will be ending very soon in 2021. And now we are starting to think the next phase of this program. We understand that it is not enough just to train them, the future leaders, but we also need to develop leadership capacities at the next level. So the current name is Futurescape. It stands for future-driven strengthening of capacity of ASEAN disaster management professional in emergency response and building resilience. So it's a long name, but Futurescape is easier on the mouth. The final one is the, can I go to the next one? The ASEAN. And this is our, this is actually something that we have been discussing for a number of years now, where we want to have an integrated e-learning program for the region. And the purpose is not actually to supplement, not to replace the national training program of the member states, but actually to complement what they have at the national level. So for this, we will need to discuss with a lot of training centers at the national level, as well as with the other stakeholders. So these are the potential 4 projects that we are developing now. And most of them, no, all of them, sorry, are already part of the next cycle of the APNER. Thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. And now we are closing to the end of the program. I would like to invite our Executive Director, Ibu Adelina Kamalbek, to give her closing remarks. Ibu Adelina, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dipo, and thank you, Arnel, for moderating the 2 sessions. I agree with what Kirsten said, that you could be the next host of Indonesian Idol or Filipino Idol. Thank you so much. Ambassadors, Excellencies, partners, friends of the AHA Center, it's been a wonderful dialogue that we have so far. Indeed, COVID-19 doesn't prevent us from talking to one another, from renewing our partnership and collaboration. And we thank you very much for joining us. I was informed by my colleagues that close to 40 organizations or countries joined this partnership forum. So thank you so much. We have a list here. I hope that I don't miss out anyone. Apart from the panelists, 11 of you, many from the ASEAN dialogue partners, development partners, but also other organizations that have been working with the AHA Center. We also have colleagues from TSF, Telecom Sans Frontier, who also has an ongoing MOI with the AHA Center. Colleagues from ODI, Overseas Development Institute, Humanitarian Partnership Group, based in London. We have been actually partnering with them and contributing to their research on digital divide. ASEAN bodies, ASEAN Center and ASEAN entities such as the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation and the ASEAN Center for Energy. Thank you so much for joining us. DHL, Carl, thank you. With DHL, we signed an MOI last year when we opened the satellite warehouse in the Philippines, and we have continued collaboration with DHL. Before we signed the MOI with DHL, we actually tested the partnership during the Central Sulawesi response. And then colleagues from Hawaii, CFEDM Center for Excellence on Disaster Management, thank you so much. I think I saw one of you, Alberto, right? Yes. And colleagues from PDC joining also from Geneva, Joel, thank you so much. In addition to Maui. And we have colleagues from ICRC, from Pulse Lab, from UN OCHA, from IFRC. I've mentioned ICRC, from RSIS Singapore, that has collaborated with us since 2015, from UNHCR, WFP, our strong partner as well. From ASEAN Member States, we have majority of ASEAN countries participating in this partnership forum. Thank you so much for delivering us and also watering the seeds and watering the land. That is the AHA Center. PDRF based in the Philippines, FOTC, Mercy Relief in Singapore, Asia Philanthropic Circle, RDI, Palladium Group. Thank you, Oliver, for joining us, Human Initiative, HFI, and many others. I'm sorry if I miss any one of you, but thank you so much. I think if I may conclude from the discussion, I can sense that there is overwhelming support from our current partners and our new partners. We have not only ongoing projects, ongoing MOIs, Memorandum of Intents, ongoing programs that are multi-year in nature. So for sure, that will keep us busy in the next 5 years. But we also have projects and programs being formulated. There are new phases that were not part of the discussion last year, and we are very excited to welcoming this new partnership. In the next 5 years, AHA Center will continue to deliver the activities and the outputs under the new ATMER work program, which is going to be launched next week during our ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management meeting. And AHA Center, as the operational coordinating engine of the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, will continue to focus in implementing the activities under the ATMER work program. But in addition to that, we also need to be agile, as I mentioned during the opening. And therefore, I'm very happy that despite COVID-19, we continue to build partnership, and we're very fortunate to receive support from you in terms of innovation, in terms of technology that help us basically to go through this uncertainty together. I would like to also mention that maintaining your trust and confidence in us is a very big deal for AHA Center. It's something that trust and confidence of our member states, of our partners and stakeholders is key for AHA Center. It's not only about getting together like this, but it's also ensuring that we deliver. Trust can be maintained if we actually deliver results. And that will be something that AHA Center promised to you as our partners and stakeholders. We are very grateful that many of our partners are behind us, and we are very happy to hear the kind encouragement. It's not easy to be working in this kind of a situation, delivering assistance and so on and so forth. And therefore, your kind of encouragement gives us additional spirit and energy. So thank you so much, and I wish you a safe and healthy weekend. It's Friday, and next is group photo. Dipo, over to you. Thank you.